What's going on there, YouTube? You remember a while back, I got this giant 5th scale Rovan 5B gas-powered monster buggy thing from the good folks at banggood.com. Check out the link in the video description if you're interested in these. They've got several different models. So I did the video and I actually had a blast. I've never driven one of these things, and this one is pretty fast by my standards anyway. I've never even had a gas-powered RC before. So after I came in, I was just wired. I was so excited. It was neat driving something so big. I edited the video, and I still had a little bit of daylight left. It was about dusk, and I was like, you know what, I still got some gas in it. I'm gonna go back out and drive some more just because. And I got a little carried away, and I caught a culvert in my ditch with the driver's side rear suspension here. So this thing's been broken for a while. Let me show you what all I did. So all the damage that I've found is back here on this corner. It did catch this tire, and it pretty much ripped the lower control arm completely off, and it also broke the output here on the rear diff. And I've been waiting on parts. I've got aluminum rear, upper, and lower control arms, and the drive shaft appears to be okay. It's not bent, it's not warped, the ends are still intact. But there was a little bit of confusion online trying to buy the cup for the output shaft. So I've got a part here. According to the instructions, this was the right thing. I'm not sure if it's universal between the cups on this end and the cups on that end. There wasn't very, buying stuff from overseas, it was a little bit difficult to find a good description and things like that that were clear. I'm not even sure how that all comes apart, so yeah. It's going to be kind of exploratory surgery here. Try to tear into this as little as possible because A, it's a nice day outside and I really would like to drive this while I still have some daylight left. But B, I don't want to tear it too much apart because I don't know how to put it all back together clearly. Alright guys, so some bad news. I did have the right shaft here for the differential. Not sure if you can see the pin loads in from the side and it locks it into place. You can see it a little closer now. That pin slides in through this hole on the outside and goes through the output shaft, this hole, and that locks it into place. Pin sets into the differential gear itself, and it all stays nice and tight. Apparently this piece here is bent, and I can't get the pin any further in than that. I've spent a little while with some lubricants and hammers and punches, and yeah, it just will not go. More evidence that this is damaged, this bearing. You can hear it sounds pretty crunchy. It's missing the seal on the outside. It's just one good tap away from coming apart completely. So I got on eBay, ordered another complete differential with bearings pre-assembled, I hope, and we'll just go from there. Guys, successful test run. Everything worked. My throttle tensioner brake lever over there did come loose at the end. About the same time I ran out of gas, so no big deal. Just put a new screw in that, tighten it up a little bit, put some Loctite on it. My front sway bar did lose one of the screws. I put one in there, but it's a little too long, so we'll have to find a shorter one for that. The rear sway bars would not work with the new control arms. The metal control arms, the aluminum ones, have a spot for it, but the arm itself, the link between the arm, both eyelets on it face the same way. And this has a different orientation than the plastic arm, and it needs to be clocked about 45 degrees. So we ran it without a rear sway bar. I did lower the shocks to their furthest out setting, and it was plenty stable. I mean, I was high speed drifting through the grass, and this thing is just a lot of fun to drive. I didn't put the pre-filter on, the other filter, just ran it like that, and I don't know if it made any difference or not, but doesn't seem any worse for the wear. Kept it dry this time, so it didn't get quite as dirty. It's a little dusty, but man, this thing's a blast to drive. It is a handful. It's not for the faint of heart, because it is. You got to kind of think about it when you're driving it, because you could hurt somebody if you hit them pretty seriously. And if you hit something, you're racing 10th scale and you run into a wall, no big deal. You probably drive away from it. But this thing, I slid sideways into a car tire and it killed it. And it started right back up, so I don't know what was up with that. But, you got to be careful with these things. But man, it was a lot of fun. I don't know how the footage came out. I haven't looked at it yet. I put the GoPro on top, and that's the new 7 Black, so it's supposed to have that really good stabilization. I was filming at 2.7K at 30 frames, so it still had the stabilization feature as an option on it. So we'll see how that looks. Hopefully it looked good, but I don't know what to do to this thing next. It's fun to drive. I really need a larger space. My yard is not quite large enough. It'd be fun to actually get it out somewhere where I could jump and I'd spend a little more time wide open throttle. They just put gravel on my road last week, so even just in a straight line down my road's next to impossible. Kind of ease into it, and as soon as you get all the way with the trigger, it just starts swinging the back end around. It's done pretty good donuts on the pavement. I like this thing. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I'm glad I got it back together. I've forgot to mention, it was a 5-week wait to get the rear diff from China. It said at customs here in Chicago for a week and a half. I don't know why, but did finally get it, and luckily it wasn't as complicated. It's been so long since I took it apart. I was worried about putting it back together, but I've got the diagrams and stuff in the instruction manual are pretty easy to follow. If you're mechanically inclined at all, you can figure it out. And I did. Got it all back together. Some of my stuff up here is still damaged from the wreck. I think the supports and the wing mount are still cocked over a little bit. My wing is a little crooked. That's all just plastic. That's part of this cage system here. And that can be upgraded eventually. But I don't know what to do to it next. The aluminum arms held up fine. They're in there nice and tight. My camber is set pretty good. I think it's still off a little bit on one side. Then I have to take that off and adjust them. They are just cranked all the way in, so I still have a little bit of negative camber. But I think that helps with the stability. Short of some new rear sway bar links, which it didn't really seem to need the sway bar. Might be kind of unnecessary. But short of that, really nothing I need until I break it again, I guess. But let me know what you guys think in the comments, and any suggestions. I know last time I talked about this, a lot of folks suggested a remote kill switch. I haven't had any issues with it running away yet. I know it's probably one of those lessons you gotta learn the hard way, but you know, I just want to do the fun stuff. So I don't know about aluminum front control arms. I haven't had any issues with those yet, so that'll be something maybe to think about in the future. If anything, the rear shock towers, I'm sure that these are available in a sturdier option than nylon. I only had it on its side once, so that was good. My GoPro took a pretty good tumble. But yeah. Anyways, let me know what y'all think. And if you're interested in these, check them out. Banggood has several different models. And you know, they are available lots of places, lots of different prices, lots of different options. You've seen these on eBay for $1,000, and they have every bell and whistle. I've seen some all aluminum ones on there for $1,000 to $1,200. They have they're basically built out of hop-up parts. And then they've got some basic ones that have, I think, a 26cc engine, smaller motor, and you know, just kind of basic stuff for around $300 or $400. And trust me, I don't think you'll be disappointed with the speed on that. Again, this is kind of middle of the road. There's a 36cc option now that Banggood has. This is 30.5, and I'm digging it. I don't think I'd want to go much faster yet until I have a lot more experience driving it. I'm still on the fence about the pipe. The pipe is kind of annoying me. I'm not really worried about the sound. It's just, especially after having taken it apart and put it back together, that pipe is not in there very well. It relies too much on the mount on the head of the motor. There is one little tab that mounts on the back end, and it did not line up once I put this nice and flush to the motor. But I think I had an exhaust leak when I got it from the factory, so now that it's nice and sealed, the gaskets are in there even. The mount doesn't line up on the back, but I've got it wedged in between the bolt and the rear bumper thing, and it held up just fine. It's just kind of, it'd be cooler to have an exhaust coming straight out the back. I know I've seen something like that, but yeah, I don't know what else to do with it other than just drive the snot out of it. But I appreciate y'all watching. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and follow along on Instagram and Facebook. And I say keep it scale, but this is a big scale, but keep it there anyway. I'll see you on the next video.